Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Balance and Harmony. Today we are coming at a different time because I want this my guest to be on the hot seat. So I have to go with that time. Um, for the past 2 to 3 weeks, I've been inviting different people to have a conversation with them, how they deal with stress, how they deal with life basically. And today I have my guest. So before I introduce my guest, I want to talk about the two programs that are coming up. The first one is our self-care masterclass, the self-care you deserve, this Saturday. Then for moms, if you're a mom, we are having our moms conference. It's taking place on the 26th and 27th of September. It's about business. So please, if you're a mom, check my page, register for it. Registration is compulsory. It's free, but registration is compulsory. So let's go to the deal of the day. So this beautiful red-haired lady, she's my coach. Oh, this lady is my coach. One thing about this lady is that she's in a world of her own. And I like people that just stay in their own lane. They don't condemn anybody, but they are in their own lane and they stay true to their lane. Her name is Teresa Omonade, but we call her the Lady T. She's a wife, she's a mom, and she's on a journey of providing immigrant moms. She stays in Canada, providing immigrant moms smarter ways to generate income online without harassing family and friends. Now, if you want to do business, we want to drag everybody along. And she knows a lot about money. There's one thing I learned about her. The first course I took with her is about money. And I realized that I was giving my children just only one part of money and I was making it big. Manage money, manage money, manage money. And anytime they spent, they were feeling guilty. And that was one thing I learned from one of our boot camps that we had together. So welcome, Lady T, to the hot
My
seat.
pleasure. My
Nice to have
pleasure.
you.
My pleasure. I'm always happy to be here because I feel like we have very great conversations together. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's go into it. The first question I will ask is when you think of stress, because me, I know you. Before I ask that question, self, there's one thing she used to say. If she says it, I will say, but when you now think about it, when she makes some statements, you want to attack immediately. But I will tell you, take 1 or 2 minutes to think about it. Then you know. She will say, how do you used to say it about being lazy? How say can somebody be promoting being lazy,
I say
But if
laziness is my superpower.
I'm telling you, but if you
Laziness is my
understand
superpower.
that statement, you will know how powerful that can be, really. So my first question is when you think of stress, I know you don't like stress. Even you are anytime you are talking, you
That's my
don't like
mantra.
it. What do you associate with stress?
Yeah, thank you so much. One of my favorite statements ever is I always tell people I don't like stress. So whenever someone tells me anything at all, I look at it from the eye of how stressful is this thing gonna be? Because some people misunderstand stress and they think stress is the same as discomfort. It's not the same. Something can be uncomfortable, but it's not stressful when you are learning that thing. When you're learning something is uncomfortable, but it's not stressful. So stressful to me is when I'm going outside of nature. Anything that I'm doing that is unnatural is stressful for me. And I don't like stress. So whenever I find myself getting stressed, it means I am in one way or another going against nature. It means I am in one way or another doing something that is unnatural. So I can stand discomfort because I'm learning something, but I can't stand stress because it's outside of nature. That's how I explain it.
Okay, that's great. Going outside my nature or one's nature.
Mm,
what are one or two things that you would say that happens, that you say, okay, this situation, so that we can understand this situation is
mhm.
me going outside my nature.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for example, let's go back again to what is the way I always tell people that I don't like stress. So I am someone, when I mentioned that laziness is my superpower, people always look at laziness in a bad way. But a typical lazy person is someone who looks for smarter ways to do something.
Hmm.
So every single thing in life has the hard way to do it and the smart way to do it. That's the truth. Unfortunately, when we first learn something, this is all we know. So we do it the hard way until you start thinking, okay, is there a smarter way to do it? For example, I talk about making money, right? And I say, there is the hard way to make money, there is the smart way to make money. So at every point in time, if someone gives an opportunity, ask yourself, is this a hard way of doing it or is it a smart way of doing it? And because that laziness is in my nature, which is looking for smarter ways to do something, when you tell me the hard way to do it, I would most likely not do it because it would be stressful for me. So I'll give an example. When I came to back home in Nigeria, I stopped working in 2016. I stopped working in 9 to 5. Why? Because I was doing business, and to me, business is more natural for me, right? So doing business and making money without attaching my time, without selling my time to it was a smarter way to make money. While selling my time for money was a hard way to make money for me. Like I always say, everything I say is in context. So when I came to Canada, of course, me, relocation and everything, you spent a lot, so you need to make money. So it would have taken me a long time to start generating money from business. So I had to go back to a job, right? And it was quite stressful for me when I started because it went back to something that is not my nature. I like to work, but I don't like to sell my time for money. So when I was doing that job, of course, I still had businesses on the side. So combining that job and that business for me was stressful.
Hmm.
So I had to take a courageous step and say, okay, you know what? I will do this job for a while. When I've gotten enough savings, cushions, and all that, I can leave it and go back to business, which is my natural state. So that decision of dropping the job, I did that for like 4 years, and then I dropped the job because I'm 5 years in Canada now. So I dropped the job this year to go back to business, and the business is now doing well, even more than the job. So to me, that's a way of you knowing a stressful situation and removing yourself from it.
Hmm.
Typically, I would have decided to still stay in that stressful situation and be doing both of them, but I don't like stress. So that's why I took that decision. So that's what I mean by you're going outside of your natural state. Once you are in your natural state, it might be uncomfortable, but it will not be stressful. Another example I like to say is look at birds, look at fish. If a
Hmm.
fish is swimming all day, the fish might be tired, but the fish is not stressed. But
Hmm.
tell a
Hmm.
fish
Hmm.
now to
Hmm.
start flying.
Hmm.
That fish cannot fly for 5 minutes. That fish will be stressed, and that stress can lead to the fish dying.
Preach it. Preach it.
So that's what I mean by, natural state. Once you are outside of the natural state of your own being, you need to know your being and know your natural state. That out of that state is what stress is for me.
Wow, that's, you put it in a way a 4-year-old will understand. Really, thank you so much.
Yeah.
But there's something that you said that I really want to also bring out, is that, there was a live that I did about you. Maybe it's time for you to change your job because it's stressing you out. And you said
Yes.
something, as much as it was not your natural self or
Mm,
environment, going to work and doing business,
mm,
but you did it for that time. You have determined yourself, you had a plan. So sometimes
mm,
if you are in that work that is stressing you, either the
mm,
boss or the work or the time,
mm.
nobody's asking you to leave it immediately, but have a plan in place
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
out of it in the long
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
And I just love the example you used of a fish, being
Mm,
tired but not being stressed because they're doing
yeah.
what they love to do. And
Yeah.
that's the truth. Thank you so much. Thank you for that.
My
So my next
pleasure.
question is: there's this controversy about balance. You believe that one can achieve balance? Do you believe in balance?
Yes, I believe in balance. I just give it a different interpretation. Okay.
Mhm.
So to me, balance is not doing everything at the same time. That's not balance. You can never do all of them at the same time. So balance to me is giving something its right place at the right time. The
Hmm.
most controversial one is always family and business, or
Hmm.
family and work. So people are like, okay, can I still be like a present parent and still, show up in my full whatever at work and all that? And I'm like, you can actually achieve that balance. But the problem is that most people want to do it at the same time. You won't be able to do it at the same time. Give each one the time that it deserves. So if you are at home and your children are at home and they need your attention, you have to be present for them at that time. Do you understand? And then if you are showing up at work, then you have to be present at work. So to me, balance is all about being present.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of us are not present. Like we need to really learn it as a skill to be present. Some people, when they're at work, they are thinking of family. Then when they're at home, they are thinking of work. And then they say, oh, they are finding it hard to balance. So balance to me is being present at each particular thing that you're doing. Be present there. And if you cannot be present, then make a choice. You get me, right? So balance to me is not doing all at the same time. I cannot do all at the same time. But whatever needs your attention per time, be
Yeah.
present for that thing, and you would achieve balance in life. That's how I look at it.
Thank you so much for bringing that part out. That's very important. And there's another thing I say is that balance for each person is different. For somebody
Yes.
that is into sport, you see them, they train for 6 months. They don't have any
Yes.
other life.
Yes.
Then the next 6 months in the year, they are free.
Mm,
While some people, they work 5 days and 2 days weekend. So
yeah.
each person has their own, what works for you.
Yes.
You understand? But balance is achievable, like Lady T said, is you need to be fully present whatever
Yes.
you are doing. So what time can you think of a time that stress really got in the recent past, that stress really got the best out of you, that you can say no, this stress you won?
Yes, it is still tied to even this my job thing, because that was even like a major reason I now had to make a decision. All right. So sorry, give me one moment. Justin, I'm in a meeting, okay? So the first thing I would say, like I said, when I came here, I have two young kids, right? My youngest, I had a baby here when I came, so you can imagine. He just turned 5 actually. And he's a special child, that's how I like to describe it. So raising him is a little bit more challenging than raising his when I was raising his brother. And now I can now imagine me trying to combine that, raising him, and combine my job and combine my business. So to me, that was the height of stress for me, and how I knew that that was the height of stress for me was I became even bitter. Like I became so angry with everything. Me that typically I'm like I just want to show up, teach people, be cheerful. I started resenting even showing up because I was tired. I started resenting a lot of things. My husband would come back from work and be watching TV, which is what he would typically do, but I became angry. I'm like, you just come back and you're watching TV. Me, I come back, I have to do this, I have to do that. I just became angry over things that were normal, like the normal things. I started picking out of it, like it just started annoying me. And that's when I was like, Auntie, this is the height of it. It's time to make a decision. Do you want to choose income? Because of course we're like, oh, we need to make money, we need to make money. Do you want to choose income over your peace, or do you want to choose peace over income? So at that point, January 2025, that was the height of it. I just decided to choose peace and sacrifice a little bit of income. So that's how I knew that no, if I continue like this, it will lead to something else. My child needed me. I needed myself.
Mm,
So I was like,
mm.
I have two options. I could either drop the business and just face 9 to 5, or drop 9 to 5 and face business. So I took that decision. Let me know that I'm just battling two things, making money and having my kid, instead of battling two ways of making money and then battling with my child. So that was the most stressful situation I have ever been in my life. It was tough. A lot of people are not even aware of it, but I went through a lot. So when I took that decision, it was like it just brought that calm back. And it even started now giving me more ideas, because at that time, mentally, I shut down. I
Mm.
wasn't creative enough. I shut down, So I took that decision that I wouldn't put myself in that position again, and it's been good since then, honestly.
Was it a difficult decision for you to make at that time? Was it difficult?
Yeah, it was very, very difficult. It was the most difficult. I always tell people, if I was living in Nigeria, it wouldn't have been a difficult decision because I
Yeah.
took it in Nigeria without thinking twice. But here,
Mm.
there are bills. Like we always say, we have bills. So those bills will be like, "Are you sure? What are you saying? Want to sacrifice income?" So it was very difficult, but I just believed a little bit more in myself, and then I just trusted God that, hey, we'll be fine. I am handing this over to you. You know why I'm doing it. I am not doing it because I don't want to work. I am doing it because I need peace. I am doing it because I need to get myself back, right? And so, even though it was very difficult, I just had courage and I had faith, and I took that decision, and it's the best decision I've ever taken.
Courage. That's what we need. Well done. Well done. There was
Thank
a
you so
time I was
much.
just thinking, oh, where's Lady T? I'm not hearing, I'm
Yeah.
not seeing. Sometimes, yeah, we go
Yeah.
through a lot, but it takes courage, really. And
Yeah.
when you know what you're called to do, also, then that one is also there. So let me
Yeah.
ask you, after a day that was draining,
Mm.
unproductive, do you have one particular routine or the habit that helps you to manage such days?
Mm. Um, so I have come again with my unconventional school of thought.
And I'm all ears.
I have come again with my unconventional school of thought. So there are two things that I tell people that we underestimate. We really underestimate these two things. Number one is sleep.
Mm.
Sleep. So to me, I feel like we need to spend a lot of time and educate people on the purpose of sleep. Sleep is a resetter. So there are times when I wake up, if I wake up how they say you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. If I wake up and I'm faced with like unnecessary stress all of a sudden, other people might want to handle it. Me, I go back to sleep. I just go back to sleep. I'm that kind of person. And that's why I always say it's not in my nature to do 9 to 5, because 9 to 5 requires your time for a specific period of time. So
Yeah.
I struggled with that, because imagine I wake up in that mood and then
And
I
you have
still
to
have
go
to
to work.
show up. You understand? So that was so stressful for me, because that's not how I handle stress. How I handle stress is I go back to sleep. I do that a lot. It has helped me. So if I am in that mood, I just go back to sleep, and I feel like I'm resetting time again. And I feel like that's the purpose of sleep. A lot of us carry our problem to sleep and then carry that problem when we wake up. But me, I carry my problem and I say, see, as I'm going back to bed and closing my eye, I'm dropping it and I'm waking up as a new person. So that has helped me a whole lot to handle stress. When I'm faced with stress, if I'm in a position to sleep, I go back to sleep. I close my eyes, maybe listen to some music that gets me to sleep, and I sleep. It can be 30 minutes, can be 1 hour, doesn't matter. When I wake up, I am back to, I'm like, okay, how do I handle this day? So that's one. The second thing I do if I'm not in a place to sleep is I start doing things that are unproductive. So that's why I say my unconventional nature comes. So you might see me now and I start watching one Nigerian movie on YouTube because I am this kind of person. Most of my stress affects my mental state. So once it has affected my mental state, I need to not put my mind to work for some time. So if I can't sleep, I just try and watch something that is almost like I'm not even thinking about it. I don't watch a serious movie. I just watch one very movie that I'm not even thinking. Like I just sit down. If I do that for 1 hour, 2 hours, it resets me as well. So some of these things you have to think to yourself, what are the things that when you do it, you're not concerned, you're not worried, you're not anything. And to me, it is sleep and watching a very, very soft, unimportant movie. Not the one that will be glued to it. No, just a
Concentrating,
very,
crying.
yeah. I don't even want to know if they're acting well, they're not acting well. I just want that thing to get my mind clear. Those are my two ways of handling stress.
Thank you so much. Today at work, where because everybody in the city where I am, a lot of people
Yeah,
are sick, and even
yeah.
Corona is coming up again. So
Wow.
somebody was down saying, "Ah, they're going to sleep." I was saying, "Me, sleep is not my own. I cannot sleep 6 hours. Is more than enough for me. I yes,
Yeah,
7 hours. You understand?
yeah,
But I need my me time.
yeah,
I need to go to bed. That going to
yeah,
bed does not mean I'm sleeping, but I need
yeah,
to calm down, and that
yeah,
is it to go for me. And it's
yeah,
very important to really know what calms you down.
yeah.
And when you talked about that movie, just watching something, I do that a lot. I just put on something and just free your mind, because for me too,
Yes.
stress goes to my mind, and
Yeah,
stress affects my body. So that's why I do a lot of walking also.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's good to know. So if you're watching us, if you're stressed, if you're having a day like that, what do you do what that helps you? Some people is food. They'll just go and eat that
Yes.
nice food and everything. So
Yeah.
share with us the things that you do that helps you to really get back to yourself and reset. But I like what you said about sleep. Sleep is a non-negotiable and is a resetter.
Yeah.
People don't
Yeah.
understand what sleep or rest in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sleep is a part of rest.
Yes.
We don't understand what it is. I keep telling this story of a time whereby I had to fix a, a table. I got to I moved homes, and I was fixing that table till middle of the night. There's a particular knot. I was on that knot for more than 30 minutes. I got
Mm,
frustrated and went to bed. Went to
mm.
bed, woke up the next morning, ate, went back to that place. Less than 2 minutes, I got it done.
Yeah.
So it is really very, very important that you find out what really calms you. And generally, sleep is a great resetter, really, using
Yeah.
that word. So let's go to the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I deal with moms a lot, and people will just think that moms who don't want to work. Some moms they will give everything to go to work than to stay at home.
Yes.
You know,
So.
it's so different from each person. So
Mm,
how do you how does stress show up in your family, and how do you people cope with it? Does it
mm,
show up in people scattering the house? Does it show up
mm,
in where people what people have to eat? Or how
mm.
you people manage money? Or how does stress show up in your family, and how do you manage it?
Yeah. When you mention is it people scattering the house, I just remembered my husband because that's his own stressor, but it's not mine. So I remember when we got married before we had kids. I wouldn't say a disorganized person, but I am not as organized as he is, right? So when we first got married, he was so stressed about it. Like I will keep this thing here. He will take it and put it where it's supposed to be. Then he'll come back. He'll still see it back there again. So we struggled that, and we always laugh about it because outside when we're watching social media, it's usually the man that is scattered and the woman is organized. So in my own case, is the other way around. So it was a big stressor for him. But I used to joke with him. I said, "See, I'm preparing you for when these children will come, because when they come, they said to want to have heart attack, that they are going to scatter." So we joke about it. But guess what? 5 years later, the guy he doesn't even send again, because the first 2 3 years when the kids came, he will arrange. The next minute he scattered again. He'll be like, "What's going on?" He will arrange it to scatter. So he now learned, and I say, "You see," and I was telling you that time, oh, that I'm preparing for it. So to me, that doesn't stress me at all. But it stresses my husband, and I try as much as
It
possible to
stresses
just.
me too.
I know all of you now. I always say me, I'm the odd one out. I always say I'm the odd one out. So those things don't stress me at all. So to me, my own stressor in the home, and I think I've learned to manage it. You mentioned just taking care of the family. Like, that's a big stressor for me because, as usual, is not my natural state. So let's go back to my superpower, right? So laziness is my superpower. So I am not so good at doing something monotonous. All right, like having to think, what are we going to eat today? Morning, afternoon, night, then tomorrow again. What are we going to eat? So to me, I'm like, this is just too, like, it's just mono, it's just repeating. How many years are we going to do this? I have to think of what to eat for breakfast, for lunch, for supper. So I struggle with that a lot, right? But I have just learned something, and this is how I manage it. I just know myself and I know my capability and I work with my capability, right? So I no longer try to think of how is the ideal situation. Because a lot of moms, we have this perfectionism inside of us, and that perfectionism can be very, very stressful. So then, when I was, some few years back, I want to be the perfect mom, I want to give them this thing like this, make it like this. And that thing was just too stressful for me. But now I just said, these children knew who they were coming to. They know that they were not coming to the home of
They did
a
not
world.
know. They did not know. I will tell you.
They
I
know,
think,
Joe.
did you watch those baby videos that are going everywhere? They did not know.
I was like, I beg, this child, if not, you would have gone to that parent and go and be doing perfectionist where they would design your breakfast and design your lunch and make it look like this. So I'm like, I beg, I cannot do more than myself, right? So as long as my children are fed, as long as they are taken care of, I kind of had to drop that idealism of trying to be ideal, trying to be perfect. I just took it at one day at a time, one step at a time. Because remember, I just look for smarter ways to do
To do
things,
things.
and then I just take it that way. And I tell myself, you are doing okay. You are doing okay. It is step by step and step by step. So that step by step thing has just helped me, and not having unnecessary expectations have also helped me handle stress in the home, because that's a big stress of mine. I don't do monotony. But I've learned to manage it, because with children you just have to do some things over and over and over. So I have tried to just take it at just be peaceful, to just make peace with it, and that has helped me a lot.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. It's a different conversation.
I
The
know.
the last two people that I had, they loved everywhere I arranged.
I know.
You
I'm
understand?
always an odd one out. Out of all my friends, I tell them all these people are complaining about. Maybe my husband should be joining you people in this meeting, because I'm not. It's not me.
So but like every situation has its own. So now let's go to are you able to balance family and work and business? Like you said at the beginning of the year, you had to, I believe, in order to achieve that balance,
Yeah,
that's when you have to let go of
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You've already mentioned that.
yeah.
What valuable lesson did you get from making that choice?
Yeah, that lesson, and that is one thing I tell everybody, is know yourself. Like, know yourself, honestly. Especially those who are living abroad. The situation is different back home. Like we say back home, it takes a village to raise a family. So back home, there are some things you can still do and get away with it. But here, if you have young kids, if you have young children, just try. It might be hard, but let's just try and also make them a priority.
Mm.
So combining it then was so hard for me, because I didn't have, in the evening when I'm supposed to be there for them, I'm trying to do things and all that. So my child wants to talk, I'm like, oh, hold on, I'm doing this. But it just taught me that, hey, there's no other person here for them. Oh. You can't go and drop them with grandma or with auntie. It's you and them. And they are young now. So when we hear abroad children are this, abroad children are that, it's not the environment, it is how present you were as a parent. So that thing really taught me a lot. So right now, the reason I chose that business is because if I had chosen work, I'll still be away when they are away, And so I won't still give them my 100%. So when I chose business, I built my business around them. So when they are away, that's when I do most of my work. So that when they are back, I'm available. I'm available. So it helped me um manage my time better. So even when is it evening, most of the things I now do in the evening, maybe meetings or things that I know that he can still come and ask me a question, and then I will answer without hushing him or shushing him or go, that kind of thing. So it's one thing I learned, that sometimes you need to sacrifice some things just to be present and choose your priorities better. So that's one thing. And another thing I would say here, because a lot of people are in that situation, so I don't know who is listening to me. I basically saw the hand of God, if I can use that statement, right? A lot of the times we just need to trust him. We are trying to be the one to achieve it by ourselves, but you just have to trust him. Trusting him is that you are able to sacrifice something or be willing to sacrifice something to show that he will show up for you. Abraham carried his son. I'm telling you, it wasn't that he planned to sacrifice his son, but he was willing to do that. That was a sign of trust. He trusted that God will provide. That's why he was able to take his son there. So a lot of us don't have that trust. And that's why we're not willing to take our son there. So some decisions that we are making or not making is also as a sign of lack of trust. So that period, because the so-called income I was trying to save, or I feel like I was chasing, I made double of that in business when I left. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, just trust him by doing some kind of sacrifice and saying, Father, this thing, you understand why I'm doing this, and I feel like he always comes through. I don't mean to be spiritual, but he actually always comes through if we can just trust him with some of those decisions and some of those actions. That's what I would say, because I learned a lot from that decision.
And I think that's very, very valuable. I was interviewed on a program last week, marriage,
Mm,
motherhood, and menopause. And for
mm,
me, motherhood is actually being present, and you're saying it again. We need to
yeah.
be present for our kids. And if there's anything that was privileged to have been, was to be present. And like you said something, priority, what do you value? You
Mm,
have to check what you value and what you are doing. If what you are
mm,
doing does not align with your value, you cannot say I love my kids out of everything, and you are out
perfect.
all day. it's,
Mm,
it's not it's not falling into place.
mm,
So that's very, very valuable. And there are seasons and different phases in life whereby
yeah.
you come back and get those things back that you have been looking
Yeah.
for. So thank you for that so much. So we
Yeah.
know you as the money woman. You are a money coach. So how has money been a source of stress to you? Because if you ask, actually, it depends on the country where you're asking. If you ask,
Mm,
let's say, our brothers and sisters,
mm,
money is a very high stress factor,
yes.
either in making it, in managing it, in investing it, in growing
Yeah.
it, just money.
Yeah.
So, how has money been a stress factor for you and your family?
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because, like I always say, that's my favorite topic. And money is one of the more, I would even, I think research actually says number two or number three causes of disagreement in the home, and even
Hmm.
causes of divorce in the
Because
home. Money is one of it. Is money, sex, and communication. So money is one of the biggest causes of conflict. And I always say, even though that's a big cause of conflict, it's actually the lowest level. It's actually the easiest compared to every other thing, because communication is hard. So to me, because if you look at the three now, money, sex, and relation and communication is hard. Even the sex part is hard, but you see, money, I feel like money is actually the easiest, but a lot of people don't find it easy because of their relationship with money.
mm, mm,
So money is an energy. Money is not the paper and coin that we are spending or the numbers we see in our bank account. Money is an energy. So your relationship with it would determine if it will be a big stressor for you or not. So you've mentioned making money, managing money, and growing money. Some people's source of stress is that they struggle with making the money, while some other people is budgeting. So you
Hmm.
see a couple that they are complaining that their husband is not hustling enough. That's a big conflict issue these days, especially in this part of the world. I feel like the women are working so hard. I don't mean to shade the men, but I'm just noticing that a lot of women are working so hard. They have multiple jobs. They have a job and a business, but their husband just go to work, come back and watch sports. So to them, that problem is not even that there's no money, but maybe they're not making enough. So they're like, why are you sitting down watching sports when you should be making money? That's a stressor. And then the second one is that managing. People have the money, but they don't know where the money is going. It just comes and goes, right? And so it gives them a lot of stress. And then other people just cannot grow the money, like parable of the talent. They just go put it under the whatever, and it just stays there. The money they are earning is the money they are spending. There is no extra at all. And I always say the solution to that is just knowledge. Is knowledge. That's why I said this one is the easiest, because you actually have control over it. Unlike other things that might be a compatibility thing in the home, right? Money, you actually have control over it. You just need to unlearn what you think you know about money, and then learn new skills. Learn that skill of making money, learn that skill of managing money, learn that skill of growing money. And once you do that, you are good. So to me, it has caused stress a couple of times in the home, but because of my knowledge, I always have confidence that it's not going to be a problem. So that's the thing with me. And I have an amazing, if I say so myself, I have an amazing relationship with money that even when I'm broke, I always feel like it's coming. Like I just notice it that another one is coming. So I feel like on that aspect, we just need to be more educated about money, and build better relationship with money. Once we do that, it solves that problem. But yeah, it is a big, big, big stressor in the home. It was a big stressor for my husband when I left the job.
Hmm.
He wanted to have heart attack because I couldn't even discuss it with him. He just came back and I was like, I've dropped letter. So it was like it's a big stressor for him as well. Some of these things I noticed that okay, my husband, it stresses him out, but I try as much as possible to give him that confidence that don't
Hmm.
worry, we'll be fine, we'll be fine. And yeah, so knowledge is a big, big, big factor to if you don't want money to be a stressor.
That's good. So, what's one decision you made about your finances that brought you, will I say, peace and freedom about money? One decision that you can say.
I started saving and investing. So, like I
Hmm.
said, I have so much confidence when it comes to making money, and that confidence almost became a bad thing. When you know you can make money, there's a tendency to spend all the money you make. So if you know me, then I always talk about let's spend this money, let's enjoy this money. But when I came here, I learned that there are other things to learn about money. It's not just making it. You make it, you also learn how to protect it. So to me, I don't look at budgeting in terms of managing, because that's where I struggle with people. And I talk to them, I'm like, this thing is a resource. It's like you trying to manage air. Like, okay, let me not breathe too much in because I may not have enough to breathe. Those kind of things. So
Talk,
to me,
talk to us face to face.
I should call names, Abby.
What?
so, so I'm always like, money is not something, it's not, it's like saying you want to manage the air that you're breathing. There are some things that just you don't manage it because it's there, right? But what I would now say is that protecting your money, so protecting money was something I wasn't so big about, because I was like, I can easily make it. But now I'm like, okay, I need to protect it, because a day will come when I don't actively want to make the money. So even though
Mm.
I can make money, there's a time when I don't want to be actively making it. So I started preserving wealth so that it would help in my retirement. Because if I don't preserve my wealth, then I'll continually work to make money. So I think that's one thing I did differently since I came here. I wasn't doing that back home, but now I learned about preservation. I learned about protecting your money. I learned about of course budgeting as well. But I budget, I like I tell people I save for a rich life. I don't save for a rainy day.
For
So those are
survival.
two different things. I
Mm.
save for a rich life. So those are just new things I started incorporating in my money habits.
That's nice. I love the words you use: protecting money,
Yes.
preserving money.
Yeah.
And that gives it a kind of richness
Yes.
to it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I believe we really need to learn about money, and like we talked about in one of those your boot camps, the
Yeah.
way we as parents handle money affect the way our kids handle money. That's the
Exactly.
truth. I'm still trying to break some things, some kind of mindset I give to my kids. You understand that when you have to spend that money when you have to spend it and enjoy it. Don't start
Mm,
thinking. But at the same
mm.
time, using those words you use, you need to protect it, you need to preserve it. Okay, I have this amount. Am I investing it? Am I saving for
Yes.
richness? Things like that. For
Yes.
me, I was
Yes.
saving for survival. I was saving for emergency. That's the mindset you have.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
mindset is already a stressful one, really.
It is.
If you
It
look at
is.
it, you are
Mm,
expecting emergency to come in. You
mm,
know. So that's, I believe, a lot has to do with our mindset if we can change
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So now we'll go over to people.
Mm-hmm.
I say this thing a lot, especially at work. I say it doesn't matter how heavy the work or what how much the workload is. If I'm working with the right person, we'll just work, so we'll flow well. Our team flow will be good. But
Yeah.
there's a time the work will not be much, but the 10 people around you, they're just
Mm,
you're digging out and they're putting it back in. So
yeah.
how has it been managing people,
Mm.
especially those uncles, aunties, colleague, whoever they are that are draining by nature? Some people are just like the way some people are happy people by nature. There's some people that are stressful people by nature.
Yeah.
How do you manage them?
Yeah, so this part, I also come a bit unconventional, and then some people are like, well, no, it's not always that easy, but it's actually that easy. You have control. If there's one thing we have control over, we have control on how we make someone or how someone makes us feel. We have
Mhm.
control over that. We don't have control over where we find ourselves. For example, you might be at work, you did not choose your colleagues, right? So you don't have control over who. You might even say, oh, I'm very okay with everybody I work with now, we're a family, and then tomorrow they hire a new person and that person will be like assistant devil. So we don't have control over those things, and so I don't worry my head about it. But you see, the one I have control over, which is how I feel, how I respond to you, I have control over that, and I will not give that control away.
Hmm.
So one of the things I do, I it might sound weird, but I shut down. Like, when I say shut down, it's not like I'm keeping malice with you, but I emotionally shut down. So you will see that emotional wall, that everything you are throwing at me is just dropping off, it's just bouncing off, right? I just do the basic thing I need to do with you and I move, right? So I take some steps to control how I respond to people. People think that when they say how you respond, you should always be laughing and jovial, even when they are bringing you down. I don't believe in that. So sometimes even shutting someone out of your life is a way of controlling how you respond. You're not shutting them out of your life because you are keeping malice. You're shutting them out of your life because you are protecting your peace. So if I have the power to shut you out of my life, I'll shut you out of my life. It doesn't matter who you are. That's the truth. If I don't have that power to shut you out of my life, then I protect my emotion. I will still relate with you in any other way we talk, we do what we have to do, but you don't have access to my emotions. That's how I look at it. So it takes practice, but I feel like if you learn that over time and just remind yourself that you are in control, you are in control of your emotions, you are the chairman and the captain of your emotion. Do not give that power away. That's how I look at it.
And that's very, very true. Using myself as an example, I had a boss whereby she's a stressful person, let me put it that way.
Mm,
But I realize every time then I get so angry and bitter. Then in the
yeah.
night, I'm asking myself, what did this lady do to me to make me feel that way? As if
Mhm,
the person took something away from you. You
mhm,
can't stop the person from being who they are, but you can,
mhm.
decide for yourself. So one of the things I did was that I needed to take control back to myself. And first
Yeah.
of all, these emotions, especially when I have a team meeting, I'll carry my
Mhm.
emotions, I'll just put them away. Even I tell my colleagues,
Exactly.
if you're having a
Exactly.
if you're having a they call it workers meeting whereby
Mm,
workers appraisal, something like that.
yeah.
I'll tell them, drop your emotions. Don't
Yeah.
just drop your emotions. That go there with
Mm,
facts. Just do as if
yeah.
they don't have emotions. And that
Yeah.
helped me because my first team meeting, I was all over the place because I'm an emotional person. I was all over the
Yes.
place. But the second one I said no. Because that's why it's good to reflect and just go back. And I was
Yeah.
just there, drop my emotions down, lock them up, and we're just talking. No, I don't
Yeah.
find that good. You talk,
Mm,
yeah, that is just I I
yes.
was so calm,
Yeah.
and that's the truth. You cannot change people, but
Mhm.
you can control the way you react. And of course, there'll be times whereby you still go outside yourself.
Yes.
You go back, like there's a word you used to say, catch yourself doing it.
That's it.
Just realizing that alone
Mm,
is a big thing. A
yeah.
colleague of mine said to me, say, I don't think I'm supposed to be a medical assistant. I find out that I'm just not patient with the patients. I'm just talking to them anyhow. And I said, see, you're already catching yourself doing something. And
Exactly.
that's a big thing. Because some people they don't even realize it,
Mm-mm.
you know.
Mm-mm.
So that's
Awareness. I always put this out there that awareness is the first stage of transformation.
yeah.
So that awareness is a game changer. So the fact that you are even aware of how you're feeling, that's a game changer. Some people are not aware of how they feel. So yeah.
That's true. That's true. So what has stress taught you that what kind of people you should bring closer to you?
Hmm. I'll use business as an example because I'm a business person, right? So every time I always tell people, be happy that someone said no to you, because that person that said no to you, if they had said yes, that would have been the biggest headache of your life. And at that time, you would be unable to give them back the money. There are some business clients that you're like, hey, I wish there's a way I can just say, take back your money, I don't want again. So you literally buy headache. So I always say, be very, very intentional about who you work with. I show up on social media and I'm always like, I help immigrant moms. I help immigrant moms. Somebody actually attacked me and said that I'm discriminatory. I am this one. And I'm like, no, someone else might be called for you, and that's okay. I am very intentional about who I work with because I want to work with people that I can help give the best transformation,
Hmm.
of their lives. So I am very, very intentional about the one I intentionally put myself in, because your family, you don't really choose them. Oh. Your the people that that you don't have control over, you you can manage your emotion with them. But you see, the one that you have control of choosing people, then be intentional
Yeah.
about it and choose the right people that will give you peace and not the people that will give you headache. So I'm very, very intentional about choosing where I find myself, because business, job, this is most of your time, most of your hours of the day. You want it to be with the right people and
People.
not people that will give you headache.
That's very important, really. If you
Yeah,
can, you just need to be intentional about the people you bring close to you. Really,
yeah.
thank you for that. So, two more questions, and I'll let you go. It has been a very interesting, very different. I told you guys now that we are all different, but we are learning really.
Yeah.
So, when life always happen. when life gets overwhelming, what keeps you going? What keeps you
Hmm.
going in life?
I would say my mission, my calling. Um, I have always somehow known that like I'm called for more and I'm called for impact. I joke with my husband. In fact, we are like the perfect pair because of how a lot of our a lot of our qualities are very, very complementary. Yeah. So my husband is a hands-on parent, with this my boys. In fact, I always abuse him that yeah, he's like a better parent than husband. He's like a better father than husband because he don't take care of me the way he take care of these children, right? But then on another hand, I am always saying I work well with teenagers. I work well with, people who I can build their mind. So I do my best right now, but I know what I'm kind of like called for. So I'm like, hey, I can't wait for this shit. Even now that
Yeah.
this one is 7, we're even having like banter. I'm kind of like educating him, helping him with his mind and all that. So I know where my path is, I know where my calling is, and that's what keeps me going because I know that I have that impact on people, especially on their mind, right? So everything I do, no matter what I go through, that is what keeps me going. That this is your calling, this is your destiny, if I can use that word. And so I'm like, okay, this is me. I just remind myself of that because everybody has a purpose here on earth. If you focus on your purpose, you will be seen as the best. But a lot of people focus on something that is not their purpose. I always say we are not here to walk on our weakness. And I'm not saying ignore it, but you are really not here to walk on your weakness. You're here to walk on your strength so well that your weakness becomes insignificant.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the truth. Walk on your strength so well that your weakness becomes insignificant. Everybody we look up to and we say, this is our role model, this is this. If we look at them from their weakness, you may not like them.
Not
there
it.
are people there are people who are seeing them from their weakness angle, and that person will be like, I don't know, you people don't know this person. If you know the real person, I don't believe in that. You just chose to see them from their weakness and not from their strength. And if we look at any human being from their place of weakness, we will feel like this person is nothing. But when we look at people from their place of strength, which is really the purpose of that person, when you are using a spoon to eat, that's the purpose of that spoon. When you now want to use that spoon to cut something, the spoon will be useless to you, but it doesn't make the spoon useless.
On its own.
It's
Yeah.
just useless to you because you're trying to use this spoon to cut something. So look at yourself from that angle. I always try as much as possible to focus on my strength and focus on my purpose. And then anyone who sees me from my weakness angle, you may not like me, but that's okay. You're just looking at the wrong place. So that's what keeps me going, just focusing on my strength.
But that's a very important thing that we need to do. You know, I have a colleague that we struggle sometimes with the language here, and you
Yeah,
just have to focus on what stands you out.
yeah,
Because okay, I cannot speak well, but I can do this, and without me, in quotes,
exactly.
they can't do it. So
Yeah.
I tell her, focus on this, and she does that, and that covers up every other thing.
Yeah.
So you are very
Yeah.
right in saying that. So my question to you right now, if you see your younger self or you see a young lady or a teenage girl and you want to give them that one life, two life advice on stress, on life, on living a fulfilling life, what
Mm.
would you know, say to them or say to your younger
Mm.
self or
Yeah, I always think about that thing. If I could go back in time, I would just tell myself, make friends with uncertainty. Like you have to be friends with uncertainty. Uncertainty has been a cause of stress for humans for years. But guess what? Looking at where we are right now, whenever we look back, We're always like, oh, it was even good that that thing happened. Oh, it was even, in fact, if that thing did not happen, I would not be here where I am today. But when it was happening, you were
It was
saying,
not
God,
funny.
why? God, when? God, why?
It was
God,
not
when? So
funny.
I'm always like, you see, uncertainty, we should embrace it. So whenever we are uncertain, we shouldn't be stressed. We should even say, God that put me through that other one. Remind yourself of the other ones that you were uncertain and you came out well. If he can put you through that one, then he can put me through this. That's if I could have just lived a life where I wasn't stressed about the uncertainties, then I feel like life would be much more beautiful and stress-free.
Thank you so much. And that's a great thing. My
Mm,
kids, they when we have challenges and they see that I'm calm, and they say,
yeah.
but this other one, I say, calm down,
Yeah.
calm down. That was not me before. But because I've gone through some things and
Yeah.
it worked out,
Yeah.
son. So embrace that uncertainty because life is that is life. Life is uncertain,
Yeah.
So thank you.
Uncertainty is even, sorry, let me put this thing out here. Uncertainty is even more, is sweeter than even certainty. That's the truth. Sometimes that thing that you didn't see coming, when it comes, is more exciting than when you just know that, oh, this one is coming. I use the example in my business. I say, if I meet a client and I know that this client is going to buy from me, I don't feel that excitement that, wow, oh, it's going to buy from me, because I already know that this person is going to buy from me. But the one that excites me the most is when I don't see it coming and someone just calls and say, I want this. I'm
Ta-da.
like, oh, because 2 seconds from that time I was uncertain. So I look at uncertainty like that. It's almost like God giving you one surprise present. It's almost like a surprise. So just embrace it and give it positive expectation that even though I'm uncertain, I am positive that it will end well. That's it.
Amen. Thank you. See,
Yeah.
you're not preaching. I'm saying amen.
That's it.
Oh, that was a beautiful one. There's so many things to take home, and I'll definitely go back to watch it. And thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge. I keep saying, for me personally, you're not using it enough, but I know that you're packing it somewhere.
Yeah.
The great platforms are for you because you
Mm,
really you know how to teach, you know how to impact knowledge, and you know how to transform life,
mm.
and you make yourself unforgettable. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone for watching. If you have any questions, so if you're an immigrant woman, you're looking for how to make money, save money, invest money, no, protect money, preserve money.
Yeah.
So we have our money expert here. You follow our and go back to watch this. Go back to watch this video. You will gain things really. So thank you so much. Lady
Okay.
T, God bless you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
See you next week with my next guest as I put them on the hot seat.
Thank you